Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about Mean Girls 2024. So there are spoilers for Mean Girls 2024 in this, and if you're a Dungeon Master, get yourself to Mean Girls 2024. It is absolutely a brilliant piece of art, and it has a lot to say about tabletop role-playing games and and humanity, right? And today I want to talk about Regina George singing "I Want to Watch the World Burn, I Brought the Gasoline." And I want to connect it to Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about groups falling apart. All right, let's go. All right, so first of all, I am very familiar with I Want to Watch the World Burn, I Brought the Gasoline. And the reason why is I have been there, I have been on both sides of that, right? I've been Regina George, where I'm just really vexed and I want to watch the world burn, and I bring the gasoline, right? I have absolutely ended tabletop role-playing games, and like brought them crashing down, right? Now I'll talk about that real quick, right? So the reason why this happens with me is I'm a skilled dungeon master, and if I get into and I have run across many dungeon masters who bring me in and they're like, oh hey, thanks, come on into the game, let's start to play, here we go. And the pace is very slow, right? And not a lot is happening. And then I am like, that nothing exciting is happening, so I'm going to make exciting things happen, right? And then I take actions as a player to begin to completely reshape the story that was written by the dungeon master. And often these stories are quite literally written by the dungeon master, in that they have a notebook, they have a plan, they think they know where their game is going in 6 months, and I'm like, your game's never going to get there. This is too slow, and I am bored, and now I'm going to take the story in a completely different direction. And that sometimes that upsets the dungeon master so much that the game ends, or sometimes that upsets other player characters so much that they walk away from the table and things are reshaped, right? The second one is you're running and then you lose player, and actually I will say, and just recently I lost 3 players for one of my games because of my player actions in another game, right? And it was so basically I'm in a Dungeon Dragon, I'm in a actually it wasn't Dungeons and Dragons, it was a tabletop role-playing game, and and I decide to take an action of agency, right? I'm like, my player character is going to take this action, and I'm willing to pay the price for this. I'm willing for my character to die. But the dungeon master was just shocked, like, that I would take this action, and got very upset and said, listen, you can't do that. And I'm like, I literally can do that. You have the choice to do whatever you're going to do to my character. And they're like, well, listen, I need to tell you this. I could have killed you last game easily, but I didn't. And so I say back, well, if you had the stones to do that, you should have done it then. Don't complain about it now. I'm going to take this action. And you need to, but rather than handle it in character with his non-player characters and make my player character face the wrath, he ended the game quickly, right? And then pieces scatter, right? I want to watch the world burn, I brought the gasoline, right? And the reality is, at the table, I'm always willing to let my character die. Many dungeon masters are not willing to kill a character and will then allow that chaos to spill out into the game group. This upset this dungeon master so much, right? Let's say game master. So much that he got upset, stopped communicating with me, and then communicated with 2 other players I had about how upset he was, and all of them ghosted and dropped out of my current game, right? Well, not all my players, 3 out of 5 of my players, right? So here we are again, and I've been here so many times, right? And I would be worried if I didn't have 2 engaged players right now, right? But I do, right? And so the reality is, the fires spark, but the game keeps going, right? And the reason why is I have an incredible dedication to Dungeons & Dragons, and I don't understand this part. I have a bizarre ability to attract players, right? Which I don't understand that. I don't, because I'm so intense and adamant about Dungeons & Dragons. I always think that there's going to be a point where nobody else is engaged enough to continue to play. I've never reached that point. It might be coming, right? But the reality is this very real, intense, I want to watch the world burn. I brought the gasoline. It happens. The reason why we're talking about it today is I don't want you to be upset when it happens at your table. So the reason, and I want to encourage you, this will happen at your table, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, your loyalty should be to Dungeons and Dragons. And the reason why is Dungeons and Dragons has been around for 50 years, right? Friends come and go. Dungeons and Dragons is always there. and that's just my take. That's just my take. And if you're out there and you're struggling to keep a physical table game together, and by the way, that's the real deal. If you're none of this applies to your silly, non-important, non-real online game. Like you guys are doing your own thing, which in my opinion isn't Dungeons and Dragons. This is the real deal. Table, real books, real table, real players, real, right? Like, the real thing, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's hard. It is hard. Neil Brennan explained it perfectly. We live in a world where nobody has 5 minutes. Nobody has 5 minutes for a phone call with people they love, right? But we'll we'll listen to a 2-hour podcast from a stranger we've never met, right? Keeping the real thing together at the table is extremely difficult. If you're failing at it, it's not because you're a terrible person or you've made failures. It's that what we're doing is hard. We're skiing the black diamonds, right? Keep your head up, keep moving, right? And the reality is Regina George keeps going, right? That's the point of Mean Girls, right? Is Regina George goes through the fires. She wanted to watch the world burn. She brought the gasoline. The world didn't end. Everybody, keeps moving forward, right? So I just want to encourage you, if you're dealing with struggles at your D&D table, if you lose players and go from 5 to 2, right? This is the world we live in. You keep your chin up, you keep moving, you get back on the horse. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.